Welcome to Book Club Meet Season 2, Episode 3. Today we have Into Thin Air by John
Crosscut.
Crosskull.
Crocod.
Krakor. It's a fun name. And we have Mayank who will walk through it. Mayank, over to you.
Like John Crocod is the author of Into the Wild, and he's a very renowned author. And he has written this book. It's a personal documentary of what happened in when he decided that he wanted to uh, uh, portray about. Sorry.
Chill.
So it is a documentary. He was working for an outside magazine. So the name of the magazine is Outside Magazine, and that magazine people told him to tell about like how commercialization of Everest is happening. This was in year 1995 or 1996. At that time, commercialization of Mount Everest has happened, and he was told that he need to go to Everest base camp and see give a report, build a report of it, and he decided that he would be going, and so he trekked down. He went to Nepal. While flying down to Nepal, he saw those mountain ranges, and at that time he felt something. And after that, he went to Lukla by a flight, and from Lukla to Phadging and Phadging to Namche Bazaar, and he followed that route and reached base camp. And while reaching base camp, something happened that he decided that he would like to climb Mount Everest because it was so much well planned. Everything was so much well planned that he decided that he would be climbing Mount Everest all of its own. Not all of its own. There would be Sherpas who would be helping him climb Mount Everest. Uh, this story tells about how he witnessed one of the biggest disaster that occurred in the Mount Everest ever. So how he was just saved, but all most of his friends who were his fellow trekkers died all along the way. Half of them had frostbite and had some parts of or the other of their body removed, and it's a very gross book. Not gross in the sense, but it's a very heartbreaking book because he hasn't praised Mount Everest in any way. So he has told about all the things that have been happening to Mount Everest, and how like rules are being broken, and how like the people who went there died because of their own mistakes and not because of that mountain. So, I will be dividing it into two parts, like how all these I want to climb Mount Everest mess started, and then I will be explaining you about one of the craziest stories that Mount Everest has have had. And in the third part, I will be explaining about some introduction about like the people whom John had interacted all along the way, and fourth part would be about the disaster that has occurred. I will be skipping out the last part, which is like after the disaster, how the rescue mission was carried out. I'll be skipping that part because it's like not that much interesting, and it's more of a documentary kind of thing. So I'll be just beginning. So everything about Mount Everest started in the year 1852, when an Indian mathematician named as Radhanath Sikdar told the world that Mount Everest was the largest mountain in the highest mountain in the world. Yeah, earlier it was called as a 15 peak of the Himalaya, 15 peak of the Himalaya, and it was named after George Everest, Mount Everest. And
Was he
then
the first one to climb it?
Edmund Hillary and Tenzing.
No, एवरेस्ट का स्टोरी ये है आई थिंक देहरादून और समवेयर मसूरी में there's a you told me someone told me that there's a room or a hotel where you can apparently where George Everest first saw Everest and he was the one who basically then named the mountain
After himself.
After himself. Huh. So after until 1852 to 1921, the mountain was closed for climbing. So Tibet has not in 1921. Tibet opens its door for climbers to climb Mount Everest, and Tibet ने 1921 में ओपन किया था. Nepal was still closed. And
Oh,
then
is it?
in 1949, Nepal opened the borders, and in 1950, Tibet closed its own borders.
इस पर एक चाइना की भी साइड है ना उसमें.
That's the Tibet side.
That's the Tibet side.
Okay.
Tibet is like
Aside
China
from
has
it.
occupied Tibet and has told its people that they want to benefit Tibet as it's a backward country. But they have killed all their leaders and all. So it's another ruthless story. One of the most interesting story that Mount Everest has got is that happened in the year 1934. So it was Maurice Wilson. He was a British. So everything that until 1960 was done by the Britishers. So like simple as straight, everything सिर्फ अंग्रेजी करते थे, कोई और का कुछ किसी, because every other country was a slave. मतलब ठीक है. So Maurice Wilson tries to climb Mount Everest. So Maurice Wilson was no mountaineer or anything. So he was just a
Shripa.
Huh? What?
नहीं मतलब just like.
So he was just an Englishman who tried to climb Mount Everest. And how did he do that? He had a very weird plan that he would be climbing Mount Everest from the Tibet side, but he was banned from the Tibet side. So he decided that he will learn flying and he will crash land his plane.
Easy.
His plane from he went to so he learned flying for like 6 weeks. He went to Darjeeling, and from Darjeeling he took a plane and he crash landed on the Tibet side. And then for like 14 or 15 days he used to write about like how he had what steps that he has taken to reach up till how much step, and on the and he used to maintain a log of it. And everyone lost contact. So after an year, when people again decided that they want to climb Mount Everest from the Tibet side, they saw that Maurice Wilson was dead at his own tent, and his tent was broken. And he has this diary, and he was a cross-dresser.
Oh.
So cross-dresser means that so he was lying in woven dress, and he was dead. So this is
On Everest.
no below Everest. So like he wasn't able to climb because without oxygen and everything else, he just went to climb to be the first person to climb Mount Everest. He did all these. So this is one of the.
But we are talking about him, so he succeeded.
He succeeded in. So in 1953, a British team becomes the third expedition to attempt Mount Everest from Nepal. It was also unsuccessful. And then on May 28th, the New Zealander duo Edmund Hillary and Sherpa Tengil Norway made their way to the Mount Everest final. Like they were able to climb. And then So another story was in 1963 when two Americans decided that they would reach Mount Everest from the western side. So until now, no one has climbed Mount Everest from the western side. So they decided to climb. They were able to climb the Mount Everest, but while going down, they had mountain sickness, and they decided that they will be staying overnight in the ridge. And they stayed overnight in the ridge. They and the second person lost like his leg and all.
Frostbite.
He got frostbite and he lost his leg. And finally, they were able to come down the next day. So it is like very few people have survived a day overnight in the Mount Everest. Okay. So now, how John decided that what happened when after John decided that he wanted to climb Mount Everest. So you will realize that things are extremely easy if you are rich and if you are English, basically. So what happened? He told that outside company that he wanted to climb Mount Everest. After a little hassle, the people said that okay, we will be funding your story, and he was able to raise a fund of 65,000 euros at that time.
Euros.
Yeah.
Big money, man.
At that time, that he got funded, and over the course, like it was about 1 or 2 months of 1.5 months of course. Like you have to. It's basically something like this. It's Everest Base Camp and Mount Everest. So there's Camp 1, Camp 2, Camp 3, Camp 4. Then there's this summit. What is called? There's a South Summit, Then there's something called ridge, Southeast Ridge. And then there is a Edmund
Ice fall.
Hillary Riff. So it's a ridge. It's a ridge. So it is a final step that you need to reach the mountain. So all to climb until camp 4, what you need to do is that every day you have to reach at one step, you have to come down, you have to reach another step, you have to come down, you have to reach another step, you have to come down.
Not necessarily every day, no? Like,
Not necessarily every day. And from camp 4, so like it's basically you reach camp 4 at around 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock, and you have to reach the Mount Everest by 2 p.m. or otherwise you have to retreat. So this is the rule that Mount Everest has got, that because after 2 p.m. the weather worsens and there's no guarantee that you will be able to come back safely. And even it is not guaranteed that you will be able to come back safely. And
And you have to come down to camp 4.
You have to come down to.
You can't stay anywhere above the camp 4.
Fourth camp 4. So, like, what happened at that day? Like, they prepared, and he was meeting more people. So, like, who was his mentor? So, his mentor was. Hall, a person named Hall, was his veteran guide of John, who was assigned that he will be climbing along with John to the Mount Everest, and he learned after like a few days that he hasn't climbed Mount Everest yet. Hall hasn't climbed, although he was a very great mountaineer. He hasn't climbed Mount Everest yet, and yet he was his accompaniment that he will be joining that, leading that whole group. Another was an Anatoly Bokhev. So he was a Russian guide who was traveling with an American expedition. So he was killed in an avalanche about a year and a half later. So he was able to go upstairs and come down, but he was killed so he was the very few people who actually John respected. So he was also killed another half year while climbing the Annapurna range. So which is considered a little bit easier. And then there was Andy Harris. He was a guide with the New Zealand-based commercial team that he was a part of. He was just a guide. And then there was Harris. He is the same person from the New Zealand Guide Company. So, and then there was बस इतने लोग थे, मतलब these were the main people whom John talked about in his book. So like before coming, when John told his wife that he is going to Mount Everest, so she told him she quoted him a thing that if you get killed, she argued with a mix of despair and anger, it's not just you who will pay the price. I will have to pay too. For the rest of my life, doesn't that matter to you? So this is the thing that his wife told him before he left. And why would you climb Mount Everest? So like I will ask you a question. So why will you climb Mount Everest?
2 reasons, right? One, you want to see how much you can push yourself, what you're actually capable of. And second is, sometimes people say that this could be a big achievement in my life. Maybe they're feeling unfulfilled. They haven't got that thing which gives them confidence. So this could be something that gives them the self-confidence.
Okay.
The sheer thrill of it.
I mean, nature continues to boggle me. What better place to check that out?
But like, currently it's not the best place to check it out.
So which is why if you ask me, like I've told this multiple times also, okay, Everest is not maybe worth it. Many times after when he asked, okay, Everest you should go like nature. There are so many other places in India that's cleaner and here is just the label that comes with it.
So the thing is, like the why humans tend to climb mountains, the reason is that if I can do this, I can do anything in my life. So just the challenge is that peak possesses, and it's people
symbolic.
It's a symbolic, and I climbed Mount Everest. There's nothing about in the entire world.
So John also talks about this same thing that like people didn't care what Mount Everest was until and unless it was declared as the highest mountain in the world. So he told that once Everest was determined to be the highest summit on the earth, it was only a matter of time before people decided that Everest needed to be climbed. So yeah. So I will be just covering up about the disaster, how this disaster happened. So it is a summary of like what happened between 2 p.m. and until the next day 5 a.m. So this is like everything. In fact, happened between these 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. So everything changed. Like so many people died just between these 4 hours. So I'll be just covering up that. So. So like they were able to climb. Like they decided that the ascent was very easy for them, and they decided that they went in groups. And John and his friend Harris was like quite fast in climbing up the mountain, and they were able to reach this top. And there they explained. Well, there's a photo also about like how the top looks like. So this is the traffic jam that he talks about. So like he had to wait for like 15-20 minutes to just so that he can reach that
Top.
The very
Hillary step. It is
Hillary
called as
step.
a Hillary step. Hillary step.
The last step.
Last step.
Such a nice map. You
And
should check this.
हाँ, it's very nice. अच्छा ओके हाँ ये देख
The
लीजिए.
map
The Hillary step. अच्छा the summit में नहीं आते क्या मतलब Hillary step.
is a significant
Final step.
final
Final
ascent.
100
Final
meters,
ascent
100
is
to
called
200.
अच्छा Hillary step. Okay, now you have done it. It's sort of like that.
So there's a ridge that you need to cross, and then after that ridge you can climb the mountain.
even Stoke has this thing that they call the shoulder basically. It's like the exposed.
Yeah. So,
Oh my god.
You continue.
No.
Okay.
Jealousy has taken over.
So we're just covering the final part and how it is.
नहीं I just wanted one last question.
हाँ.
Like there's a time limit ना जब आप summit पे कितने देर रुक सकते हो. Like there is a like
It's
you
2
can.
PM.
Just
नहीं, how long
नहीं,
can you
how
stay
long
on the
can you
top
stay on
once
the
you've
top?
reached?
There's
ऐसा
I guess
कुछ
30
होगा.
second 40 second ऐसा कुछ है कि you cannot stay more than that.
No, I don't think
Maybe
so.
because of turn or something like that.
No, people.
Nothing like that.
So like one thing that people have explained while reaching Mount Everest, it's not just John who has explained that. Like it doesn't even matter. Like once you are on top of it, you are just like I want to go down. Like there's nothing pleasurable about being on top of that mountain. So it's that feeling that I
I
have
did it.
climbed out. I have just climbed it out. What next? Like there's nothing left in my life. I just need to survive now and to just get down. So it is such a difficult thing to climb up this mountain that you just want to get down. So like no one even cares that they are supposed to stay for 5 minutes or 10
Customary
minutes.
selfie and then get out of it.
Just get out of it. So they plan out the descent. So it was something like they met many people. So there's a point where Green Boots Point is also there. So in the halfway, just after Camp 4, if you will go, so there's a Green Boots Point. So it has also a very sad story attached to it. So I guess I have told you. So it's about a mountaineer. So it's a unspoken thing that if you are traveling and you saw someone dying or someone is dying or unable to return, you have the choice whether you want to return, take them back, or you can just continue with your ascent. So like Green Boots, it was a person who decided to climb, and on the halfway, like he felt he had a mountain sickness, and he began to see illusions, and like it was such a difficult task for him to manage that the Sherpas also decided that he needs to be left there then and there only. So like he wasn't supposed to, and he was sitting in shivering out of a mountain. There was a huge stone here, and he was shivering inside it and was crying, begging for each and every traveler. So like almost like 50-60 people climb Mount Everest daily, like less than that. But there are so many people who climb Mount Everest on a daily basis. And he begged everyone to take him back to the base camp, and everyone refused that like we want to climb, we cannot risk are 22,000 or so much amount for like a person, and everyone climbed, and his boots, he was wearing green boots, and this marks as a landmark about like it still lies there. His boots are lying there.
His body is
and
also there.
His body is also there.
Boots are visible, I guess.
Huh. No, body is also visible.
Oh.
So, like, there are a lot
it's
of-
impossible how to get these bodies down. So
Yeah.
So-
it's like they're all there.
So even after this incident, disaster,
Scholars gravy, huh?
60% of the bodies were left in the mountain only. So like the bodies who were left on the ridges and all, so they decided that it is very risky to bring those bodies back, because the Sherpas have to climb, have their oxygen cylinders, and then they have to climb to take those bodies back, which is not worth the effort. So how did it all start? So I will just begin. So like Hall, he was with another friend that he was climbing with. So he was with Beck Weathers. He decided to ascend with Beck Weathers. He has left his that trek leader behind, and he began climbing with Beck Weathers. He reached the Mount Everest summit. He was climbing down. It was around 2 o'clock before 2 o'clock, it was around 1:30 p.m. that he reached Mount Everest, and still almost 60% of the people hadn't reached till the top, and they were around somewhere at the south reach, and they have to reach before top, or they were supposed to retreat. And like he came here, and then he felt that nausea. He was feeling nausea, that he is running out of oxygen. He checked his cylinder that he was out of oxygen, so there was very little oxygen left, and he told his friend that to lower the valve of the oxygen, and he was also hallucinating, and he pulled ulta kar diya usne. He maximized it, the whole valve. So for 5 minutes, John was like, it was the best feeling he ever had. And after 5 minutes, while he was reaching the southeast ridge, where he would be able to get a cylinder. People leave cylinders here, so you
So
can.
whatever you take, you leave it there.
No, they bring it back. Everything they bring it back, but
No, think that they take two and then on. So they keep going up and coming down, right? So on one of those trips, they'll go, leave one there, come back, take the next. That's how you still have some stash.
So to give an example of how commercialized it was, so those ropes, everything was pre-installed there.
Yeah.
So everything, right from ropes to harnesses to those staircases, everything is pre-installed in the Mount Everest at 1995. So current scenario is worse, even worse than that. So while returning, he felt he had the most amazing 5 minutes of his life, and then he realized that he is out of oxygen, and he had to travel for like 250 meters or so to get to the 20-minute walk. That he decided that like he had to walk, otherwise he will die. So as soon as he opened his mask, his whole skin froze because of frostbite. So he explained it very grossly. He has explained like what has happened to his face, and he reached the southeast reach, and he reached it at around 2:30 p.m. he reached, and then he saw like few climbers who were still at the this south camp one, who was still here, and they were also deciding that they will be climbing upstairs. So you are not supposed to tell anyone that what they need to do. So he just looked from this southeast ridge. He looked towards the south of the Everest, and he saw that Ama Dablam and Pauri. It's Pauri, na? I don't remember the name of the mountain. So it was Pauri mountain. That
Pumori.
Pumori. So it is all covered with blizzards. So like he suddenly had a feeling that things are going to get worse. So he ascended, began his ascent, and in the middle he found a person who had stayed in this southeast ridge, and until then that snowfall has already begun, and that person was waiting for his Sherpa to return back, because he was unable to climb. And what has happened? He has went through a LASIK surgery, and a few years before he has went to a LASIK surgery, and what he didn't know was that at such low pressure and high altitude, his LASIK would break. So he wasn't able to see and
all.
anything, and it was like the worst thing ever that happened to him. So John convinced him that he should be returning with him. He can return with him, so he doesn't need to wait for
The Sherpa.
the Sherpa Harris. He doesn't need to wait for him. And but at the end, he told that Harris is also returning along with him. So, matlab he will be returning in 15-20 minutes. He will be returning back. So then that person said that okay, I will wait for my Sherpa to return back. But he never got back because, and that person also died there because of frostbite, because he kept waiting, and so at that time you have to make those decisions like which are very life crucial decisions, that when you it could have happened that he would have returned without a guide and he would have died along with John. So you cannot say that what is right, what is wrong, but you have to make a decision right then and there about like what you need to do at that moment. So now, as soon as he reached the final summit at around 5 p.m., the southeast camp, everything was covered in snow, and they heard that the blizzard has occurred. And there were two friends of him, Hall and Henson, so who were supposed to return, and they didn't return until now. And there were 26 other people of different groups who were stuck in the blizzard. 6 were dead. Both there were 2 groups who were going on the mountain. Both their leaders were dead, and they didn't know what to do now. So they were able to contact themselves via satellite phones from the Everest base camp. So that was their only connection that they had. So they had to spend overnight. John was almost safe, but every other person was having difficulty. So at around 4:31 p.m., Everest Base Camp received a call from Hall that his friend Henson has fallen into a ridge and he has died from this hill. Southeast reach to this base camp. They have to reach there, and he has died there. And he needed to call his wife. So they made a call to his wife, connected. He told his wife that everything. I will just read an extract of this, and it's a very heartbreaking telephonic conversation that he had 2 telephonic conversations, one at 4:31 p.m. and another one at 4:43 a.m. So this is the timeline. So he started with this ridge. I will just call it A and B. I'm not remembering the name. So he started with ridge A. He called it at around 4:31 p.m. that I will be needing a rescue operation for this. And at around 4:43 a.m. he called him again, and he said that he was having a call regarding like I have stayed overnight in the Everest in a cliff, and I don't feel anything, like I cannot take this rope and go downstairs now. So and people were explaining that to do matlab kar lo, and he was like, yeah, I have both my hands frostbitten, and if I would have been able to do, I would have done already. So it's until unless you don't you send a rescue operation, so nothing is going to happen. So they made a call to his wife where he is talking to her, and it was the last call that he has that anyone has ever heard of him. And then they had after this the rescue operation rescue team was sent, and they were rescued the next day from this place. So this was the story that about the
you get
disaster.
frostbite even if you're wearing all the
Huh.
layers.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Doesn't-
You stop, you get cold,
Hmm.
and the temperature
It's
difference causes-
hypothermia. Yeah, basically. Your body gets too cold, unable to, and usually extremities get cold.
So I'll tell
Yeah.
my experience at the last.
Chadar.
Ah.
So I will read the final call that he made at 5 a.m. At 5 a.m., Basecamp patched a call on the satellite phone to Jan Arnold, Hall's wife, 7 months pregnant with their first child in Christchurch, New Zealand. Arnold, a respected physician, had submitted Everest with a Hall in 1993 and entertained no illusions about gravity of her husband's predicament. My heart really sank when I heard his voice, she recalls. He was sharing his words markedly. he sounded like a major Tom or something, like he was just floating away. So throughout the day, Hall's friend begged him to make an effort to descend from South Summit under his own power. At 3:20 p.m., after one such transmission from Cotter, Hall began to sound annoyed. Look, he said, if I thought I could manage the knots on fixed ropes with my frostbitten hands, I would have gone down 6 hours ago, pal. Just send me a couple of boys up with big thermos or something hot. Then I'll be just fine. At 6:20 p.m., Hall was passed through a second time to Arnold in Christchurch. Hi, my sweetheart, he said in a slow, painfully distorted voice. I hope you are tucked up in a nice, warm bed. How are you doing? I can't tell you how much I am thinking about you, Arnold replied. You sound so much better than I expected. Are you warm, my darling? And he talks about a few more things. How are your feet? I haven't been taken the boots off to check, but I think I may have a frostbite. I'm looking forward to making you completely better when you come home, said Arnold. I just know you are going to be rescued. Don't feel that you are alone. I am sending all my positive energy your way. Before signing off, Hall told his wife, I love you. Sleep well, my sweetheart. Don't worry too much. So, this was his last call that anyone has ever heard.
Sad.
Huh. So his body was found 12 days later in a ridge. So his upper half was covered in snow and his lower half was like bent on the right side. So this was his story. So people have hated this book actually. So people who were directly or indirectly involved with John, or the people who have died in this, the family members of people who have died in this incident, have actually told like he did this for like marketing purpose or something. But he has quite fully exposed that if they would have decided that at 2 p.m. they would have to retreat, like everyone would have been safe. So
Decisions are really
decisions
critical.
because like says that why don't like no one would know why those two mountain leaders decided that they weren't supposed to return at that time. So like if they would have, because it's their story, so like they weren't alive to tell that story. Like why did they decide take
the entire group.
took that
Like if the
decision?
group leader have said like it's too risky, and he just had to say we'll all die,
Yeah.
everybody would have retreated.
Maybe.
Maybe there's a chance, right?
Maybe. At that point, after doing all that, your logic powers are failing.
Yeah.
So this is what happens when you travel alone or something. Like everyone thinks that it's a very glamorous thing or so. Inside you realize that how heartbreaking is to travel in such conditions, and like what feeling you go through until you get comfortable with people. So for some people it's very difficult to interact with like get easy with other people. So like if you travel alone you will learn like very new things. That's it. Like this is why I love to travel. So because I can overcome my insecurities while traveling. So this is it.
I also find it extremely meditative. Like there's no distraction at all. So
Zero.
you have nothing but you and your own thoughts.
Yeah.
And it's like a trance.
And it's a long day. Every day is a long
Every
day.
day is a long day. Yeah.
Every day is a long day. I'll tell you my story.
Yep.
Recently, I have never been to Everest. One day I might.
So my parents are extremely afraid because like if I go to
April.
Everest base camp,
April.
in April. So I'm going to Everest base camp in April
Are
for
you
like 20
serious?
days. So they are very afraid because they have a feeling that if I go to ABC, I will decide that someday I will climb Everest. So they are like extremely skeptical. Like I shouldn't.
EBC से दिखता नहीं.
हाँ,
There's
दिखता
like
नहीं,
so much
हाँ.
cloud cover you barely
वहाँ
get
से
to see.
दिखता है ना काला पत्थर से.
काला पत्थर से beautiful.
हाँ, काला पत्थर से.
Please.
Cool. So there are even stories about Chadar. So people also die on Chadar. So every day, so every year somebody dies at Chadar. So but all of them are actually not prepared. So they think this is the peak cakewalk, and let's say they are 44, nothing against anybody. Then they are 44, weighing 100 kgs or 90 kgs, totally unfit. Heart conditions are bad. They fake their test through let's say the pills or something like that, and they think I will do it for the sake of it. those are the people who like most of the
Sure.
have happened to them. People get cardiac arrest, something like that. You get last year a local lady died. Last year a local lady died. So there are lots of negative buzz around Chadar. In terms of trek, it is the most talked about Chadar in Indian media, and hence very popular also. So I went there last month only.
Mridul ke saath, na?
So the first day, I'll just tell you my story in 2 minutes. So the first day we landed in Leh. We were here 35 degree. We landed, the temperature was minus 30.
Minus 13.
Minus 13. First day, the 40 degree stark difference. Luckily, you have to acclimatize for 2 days at least before you start the trek. We acclimatized for 3 days. 3 days. So we went there. We were all sitting together. We were 3 people went there. Me, Mridul, and one lady from Bangalore. She came in from Bangalore. So we were all sitting together for body heat. We had 3 rajais over us, and we had hot cups of tea in our hand. We were shivering in the sun, basking in the sun. So the first day was very bad. We didn't sleep well at all in the night, and I didn't sleep well. So the first day was very bad. But second day was relatively better because we moved a lot also. First day was you were supposed to go there, sit in the hotel. That's it.
Like you're not even supposed to walk around.
You're not even supposed to walk around. So we did walk around a little bit. It was so cold. We felt too much cold and we came back. Too much cold we came. Next day we walked around in the market and on the hill palace, and we slowly got used to it. Before the Chadar starts, you need to get a medical test. They check your BP, your heart rate, everything, and your weight, everything they check. And the doctor actually prescribes you, okay, you can go or you cannot. Yeah. And you need to get a medical insurance also.
Okay.
Because Indian Army carries a rescue operation. In case somebody is seriously ill and he needs to lift off, Indian Army will send a helicopter to let's say to fund that, and so that people don't misuse it. So there is an insurance program for that. So the first day when we started, we were all very scared because okay, first time.
You never
You never know. So the walking on Chadar is easy when you learn it. The first day we were walking like penguins only. Tick, 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 tick. The last day, when me and Mridul came back, we covered the same patch we covered in 7 hours in 2.5 hours. Because in the last day, I'll show you the video also. We were practically running on Chadar. How we learned that? Because porters carry your weight, entire weight, and they leave all the trails. And we had a very small group. Our group was very small. It was only 10 people. The guide was very closely working with everybody. Everybody was very close. Nobody was waiting for anybody. And he was telling, this is the rock. This is the rock. This is the kind of water you need to walk. This is the why the cracks are safe. But the funny thing is, the blue dark cracks are safe path. That's funny, right? And the white lush white, pure white is not safe. You cannot go there. It's very soft. It's freshly formed. And the beauty of Chadar is you cannot know any day what will happen tomorrow. You're camping. We were camping on a site. Everything was well formed. So we camped 2 kilometers ahead before of tip. Next day, Chadar was waist knee deep and flowing like a river. It's a river actually. Sanskar river. It was flowing, and there was a ridge. So we had 2 options: either go say waist deep in ice cold water, or climb a very steep ridge next to it. So for we 3 decided we can go, but we were having so much fun. Other people were a little aged, so we didn't. It's not worth the risk. We had experienced the Chadar. We returned back. Some people cried also. Some people cried. And some people cried because we didn't make it to Teb and Nirak and those all those shit. My experience was bad because I was wearing the gumboot one size lower.
So like you should have asked the decathlon guys like what purpose you need the shoes and like
so you need
what
the
kind of
gumboot
socks
because
you need to
honey,
have.
we did all that. We did extreme research. We did all that.
So they only give you that.
No, gumboots के अलावा भी एक जूते पहनने पड़ते हैं ना?
नहीं, you don't need to wear anything. Just wear 2 layers of socks and the gumboot directly because your feet will get wet every day, and the upper part of it, and your normal shoes won't work there. So me and another tall guy, we were having one size less. The maximum, like the highest number available was 10 number, and luckily we need 10, and we needed 11 size gumboot, and the stuff that was supposed to come in from airplane that didn't arrive that day, so we were stuck with that. So for the 3rd day, when I was walking, I felt okay. I cannot walk. There's something tickling. When I reached the camp, I took my shoe out. Okay, I felt it's red. Okay, numbness felt. On the 4th day, it got black.
Oh shit.
It got black. Every step was a hell because the 4th day was all rocky patch. Ice was very, Chadar was very thin, so we had to take all the rocky patches.
And in that small size boot, your
So on luckily everybody has a dominant leg, na. Everybody has a dominant. So my dominant leg is broken and dominant leg is right. So the toe got jet black. That day I was not able to speak. I was sitting like this. Every day I was the one who was entertaining everybody. That day I was sitting like this, walking in, watching the, let's say, the fire camp we had, and saying nothing. Saying nothing. Next day, and that guy, the other guy, he's a runner. So he gets this kind of feat every time. He told me all you need to do is puncture your toe. I said, "Kya baat kar rahe ho?" Puncture your toe. So what happens is very thin layer of blood get clotted, and it's very thin. When I opened it up, it was like water. Because I opened it up in Gurgaon only, and it was water. And until that moment, I was not able to walk. And like we were talking about, extremities get cold, na? So we are photo buffs also, so we need to click photos also. The moment we take out our gloves to take photos for next 10 minutes, all we need to do is shake our hands because it's so cold now.
Yeah.
It's so cold now. It's so cold. It's so cold. Your battery drains out like hell. Your battery drains like hell. So we were carrying all these phones and everything in the special socks that we had.
Case.
Special socks that we bought. There was special sock which was supposed to be worn in the night only, in the sleeping bags only. So we were carrying all those things in there. And we camped various sites, and that was about it. And when we returned, luckily we had an extra day because we didn't go again. So the point everybody starts, we went a day inside. So nobody has walked on that chadar for entire years. No. There is a point, there's a road construction going on, so you start from that point, and nobody goes back. So we went back and we camped on the first time, because we were the first campers there. So nobody has been to the chadar, and so this is wow. But comes the rest, and you don't know the path. Even guides were scared. And the guide was scared because normally they know, they have been to on that path so many times. They know, okay, this is the point. This is the tricky point. They had no clue what is the tricky point now. It was slow walk, but it was very entertaining. So I was the only one, so I didn't you slip and you fall. So I was like, I will not fall. Ego. And my first fall was in the water only. So everybody was falling on the ice only. I fell down in the chadar. So there was a small rock. We were supposed to follow the guide. I was following next to him. I just took a left step, 5 inches more to the left. And the next moment I was waist until the waist I was covered in water. And it's very cold. -20 is minimum that you will get.
I'm sure.
So what happens now is you need to change your clothes immediately. Get out, change your clothes. If you don't do it, in next 10 minutes you will catch hypothermia. Luckily my upper body was not wet, hence no critical organ danger. Lower body can take huge amount of let's say cold, because it's only muscle and bones. And if you keep them warm, they'll stay. So I just changed my clothes there, and we jumped for 10 minutes. Then I was able to actually feel my feet. Then we walk like normal. So it was normal. That was about it. So in overall, like he said, when you reach the top, and all you want to do is go back. On the third or fourth day, the nights are so cold. One day the temperature dropped till -30. That was the worst. And that day what happened? We were having very good sleeping bags. The army uses in the Siachen. We had that quality of sleeping bags. The sleeping bags were very warm, very warm. But when we woke up 6 in the morning, everything inside our tent was frozen.
टेंट के अंदर
so there was a layer of उमस होती है ना, ओस होती है, तो सारा हल्का जितना भी आपका भाप निकल रही है, कुछ भी है, सब पतली सी एक बर्फ की लेयर जम गई थी पूरे स्लीपिंग बैग के ऊपर, कपड़ों के ऊपर, अंदर टेंट के ऊपर ऐसे पूरी पतली सी बर्फ की लेयर जम गई है. that night was very bad. So that was the night we realized, okay, नहीं, all we need to, मुझे घर जाना है अब. I don't fucking care.
4-day point when you're like,
you have also been to Chadar, na? You were not able to.
When I went, the
weather बहुत खराब था उस टाइम. तो बहुत खराब
for 7 days there.
But overall experience, the Chadar trek is very simple. Trek is very simple. Tricky part is you learn how to walk on various types of ice. There are ice where you need to skid. There are ice you need to do a penguin walk. There are ice you can simply literally walk. And the ice you don't go ahead. You avoid. And you need to follow the guide, because you can, if you fall down and you catch hypothermia, you can die. As simple as that. And so overall the experience is very rewarding. What you learn to live in sub-zero temperature for let's say a span of 5 days, and you conquer that mental fear. Okay, बर्फ में ठंड में कैसे रहते हैं, है ना? That is very rewarding, and the track is also very beautiful, because for a chadar to form, there's particular thing that you require. You require a very narrow say valley, with no sunlight and extreme sub-zero temperature. That is the only case the chadar forms. An actual flowing river can freeze, and luckily chadar takes all those boxes. Hence, and there are paths where chadar is very narrow. Actually, two people can stand and just say extend their arms and can touch both the rocks. Funny enough, when we were returning back, some part of that chadar was weak.
Oh,
That
so
chadar
then-
weak. And then we crossed through like this slowly and from the extreme rights or the extreme lefts. That even that part was so there is no guarantee
No
on
safety,
chadar.
yeah.
नहीं, safety is there, but
But
there's
safety
no
net नहीं है ना, कुछ भी हो
net
सकता
नहीं,
है.
कुछ भी हो सकता है. That's the beauty about chadar. Every track you need to go to this checkpoint. Even in Everest, you need to reach there here. There's no guarantee on chadar. There's no guarantee. 300 people were stuck at Tib. The day we returned back, there is a video on YouTube for this year's chadar. 300 people were stuck on Tib. Everybody got their flight cancelled because of that ridge that we returned back from.
Oh.
There is no guarantee on chadar. And plus, it's very beautiful. Very beautiful. All the tranquility, beauty, it's very good.
Waterfalls.
It's beautiful.
Amazing. Feels like in another world. It doesn't feel like Earth.
It doesn't feel like a.
But Leh feels like another world.
Yeah, Leh is so beautiful, so like you cannot imagine. Skip anything. If you have 5 days, do go to
Jana
Leh.
चाहिए.
Do go to Leh at least.
Awesome, man.
Awesome, yeah.
Great stories today, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Maybe
man.
you should read it.
The
So,
bug
like,
is back now.
The
in my-
first page of the book reads that, Dear Mike, have been meaning to get you this book for a while. Was pleasantly surprised when I found it this weekend. Enjoy. So this was a year ago.
1 year.
1 year.
Awesome.
In Secret Santa or something like that. No?
No. Just randomly
Oh,
I found
I
it.
found it. I
randomly.
randomly found it, and so what?
Guys, I'm going to run.
Cool.
Thank
cool.
you so much.
Cool. Nice stories, right?
अरे, amazing. अब तो मुझे भी जाने का मन कर रहा है.
कुछ भी हो रहा है बाहर निकलेंगे टाइम वेस्ट कर दिया.
Cool. Thanks, man.
Thank you, guys. Awesome.
You always plan.